Welcome back to Billins World.
What's up, YouTube?
He is not a podcaster. This is not a motherfucking podcast. This show is brought to you by HitMyLineAccessories.com, AIRTIMEMUSICLLC.com, JiggyMafia.com. Today we will be talking about
Time is Illmatic. Nas' debut album, Illmatic, released in April 1994. Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what was your first introduction to Nas?
Wow. For me personally, I believe it was a summer program that summer, so that had to be the summer this album dropped. And I remember, wow, to this day, excuse me, people having like and outside having to play the album out in their boom boxes and everything, and wow. And I remember "The World Is Yours" was definitely one of those tracks. That was probably definitely, because I remember of course, the "Whose World Is This" produced by Pete Rock. Shout out to Pete Rock. So that was my introduction to Nas.
So Illmatic, what are some of your favorite tracks off of Illmatic? Why are we doing Illmatic today?
Well, it's a top 5 for me. Probably the best 39 minutes in hip hop history. Wow, this is at that time it wasn't too much lyrical stuff, at least for the East Coast hip hop. So when this dropped, it was like, hey, I mean, super producers, for the team that produced on this album.
Favorite songs off of this album for you?
Definitely Memory Lane, Sitting in the Park. That's definitely always brings you to nostalgia. Represent, definitely.
Yeah, Represent is fire.
It Ain't Hard to Tell.
It Ain't Hard to Tell is one of my favorite. That's probably my favorite track off.
Yeah, Samples the classic Michael Jackson track, Human Nature. Probably one of my favorite tracks by Michael Jackson. So let's go. I believe Mike approved of that track as well. Shout out to Large Pro on production, another producer for this album. 1994 Illmatic, like I said,
I know it's early into the episode, but I just want to ask this now so we can get deeper into the whole album. Classic or tragic?
Classic, absolute, man. Always be in my top 5 for sure.
What makes Illmatic a classic?
Hey, I mean,
at least to you, because it's your world. So
yes.
What makes Illmatic a classic to Billin?
Hey, Nas just came and laid it down. I mean, definitely, and this caused a lot, big influence definitely with hip hop as well. Not even just New York and all that. So, but I'm for Queens, what I'm saying, and for Queens to go through what KRS did years prior with The Bridge Is Over, and look at just Nas comes out years later, and he had that buzz to be the next best MC to come out, because he appeared a couple years prior to this album dropping with Halftime, the song Halftime, which appeared on
Halftime is one of my favorite songs off this too.
Oh yeah,
I was telling you that earlier. And I felt like it was witty that it was the 5th song on the album, because you know how rappers do, man. We always got a extra punchline somewhere.
Yes, so that definitely was dope on that part.
He had it at track 5, and there was only 10 songs on this album.
Yeah, you could count 9 songs. Genesis is the intro, but that even starts it off real good. Nas with the whole time is Illmatic.
I felt like that was the only dry spot on the album, and I guess that's cool because it's the fucking intro, right? Like, does it have to be super duper crazy? No.
And we get to New York State of Mind. Shout out to DJ Premier. He produced a couple songs on this album. And, and Nas, I believe, the song starts, he's like, oh, I don't know how to start this shit. I believe that was, he didn't know how to start this shit. And look what happened. I mean, went off on this track, New York State of Mind. Ooh.
New York State of Mind is fire. I think the whole album is fire. It's definitely a classic. Other than the intro, there are no real dry spots on this album. Some of my favorite tracks off this album, It Ain't Hard to Tell, Halftime, represent. Shit, I mean, really the whole album, bro. I mean, it's not much you can complain about with Illmatic, bro. Keeping it real with you.
Definitely.
If you don't think Illmatic is a classic, then you probably might be hating. There's a chance you might be hating.
Go check it out, y'all. Yo, hit that like button, hit the share button, hit that, subscribe to the channel, all that.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We see that you guys have been checking us out. We appreciate it. Well, checking Billing out. I'm just DJing this thing.
Yes.
We appreciate it though. However, once again, make sure you guys go check out your smoking accessories and much more at hitmylineaccessories.com. If you want some cool fashion, jiggymafia.com. Make the cool table come to you. Okay. The year that Illmatic came out was what?
1994. 94, baby.
Out of all the other albums that came out in 94, where does Illmatic sit up there for you during that year? Like,
Nas is my all-time favorite rapper, by the way. This is top, man, for me, man.
Is there any other albums that from that year that you feel like were competing with this album?
Absolutely. Remember a few months down the road, like that late summer, I believe we would get Ready to Die, the debut from Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, yeah. Big
yes.
time.
We had Outkast debut album this year as well.
Yeah.
Craig Mack album. Redman's Dark Side, it was some.
So it's about good music. So yeah, that's just hard. But Illmatic, I mean, that's a good way. So that's a lot of classic shit that year.
And let's talk about the track One Love, produced by Q-Tip.
One love, one love, one love, one love.
Fire. This would later inspire a scene in the film Belly. Go check. Yes.
Really.
And coming soon will be an episode, paying homage to Belly. It's a classic one way or another, in a weird way, probably, to me. But
Belly's a classic. It's a hood classic, man. Hood classic.
Show coming soon, though. But Nas was in that movie as well. If you don't know, but check that out though. Anyway, show.
Okay, so back to Illmatic. Other than the production and etc., what really stood out from this album for you? Like, what made you gravitate to this? Like, was this something that you used to play on the regular? Was it always in like your CD player and etc.? What made this album just stand out that much more to you, other than all the other albums of that year, like Ready to Die and etc.?
Well, like I said earlier in the show, how, I remember, it being played outside the summer program and all that back then as a kid, and that just stood with me. That just stood with me and everything to this day. Okay,
so this album basically just holds some type of, other than just a music classic to you, it holds some type of like sentimental value to you. Then basically, that's like one of those things that's like monumental to you, basically. Like, not saying that nothing, like, you just looked at me like, what do you mean sentimental? Like, meaning like,
oh shit.
Meaning like, okay, there are certain albums that when I think about them, they just mean different things to me because I remember where I was when I heard them. This is one of the albums for you.
Absolutely. Wow. What more can I say? This is like a once-in-a-lifetime joint. Like I said earlier, I gotta say it again. Probably the best 39 minutes in hip-hop history.
So what's your advice to the jokers that think that this album is garbage? Because there are people out there that think that this album isn't good.
Wow, I mean, feel for you, but go back and listen again. I mean, hey man, I know it's one of my faves. Hey,
facts, me too.
Absolutely.
Illmatic, something special.
Man, and the track, my favorite on the album of Memory Lane, Sit in the Park, because it's like that pure nostalgia. And wow. Shout out to Primo, produced that track as well. Again, man, Large Pro, all that, and It Ain't Hard to Tell, and man.
I mean, did this album go platinum?
Not right away, and this is living proof right here. It don't gotta be You don't gotta go diamond off the rip, you know, to be one of the best albums ever and all that, you know? You know, and also, you know, a lot of these songs they weren't really too popish, you know? He would go that route with the following album. We'll get to that.
This is like hip hop.
Yes.
Not saying that today's hip hop isn't hip hop, but like this is hip hop. Like this is something that like talking about like old boom bap-ish rapping. Like this is
you really you know
rap.
you really understood the life of, you know, a young kid. You know, who started writing the album as a teenager. You know, life in New York City, man, and Queensbridge represent. Queensbridge, USA. And wow, remarkable, man. Remarkable body of work. That's all I'm gonna say. Check out the album, man, if you never heard. But
Yeah, if you ain't never heard Illmatic, man, I don't know, man. You ain't a student of the game. Because it's one of them albums where it's like, okay, when you think about old school classics and shit or whatever, it don't matter what region you in. You know, The Chronic was a classic. You know, fucking Reasonable Doubt is a classic. You should know that Illmatic is a classic, man. I mean, there's
yes,
many
indeed.
other albums that are classics as well. But I'm just saying, when you hear those marquee albums, Illmatic is definitely one of them.
Yes. True MC Nas, man. Illmatic. Top 5 shit right there. Yeah, man. And check out, you know, later on this season, you know, do a video for It Was Written, the sophomore album. You know, Nas, man, with these first two. Hey, they both in my top 5 for a reason. I said it. But yeah, but check out, you know, It Was Written will come this summer, y'all. Appreciate all y'all. Once again, hit that like, hit that share, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to my boy Hef here.
So is there anything else you want to cover about Illmatic?
Hey,
Anything you didn't touch on?
they ain't say name a rapper I ain't influenced for no damn reason.
I mean, Nas dudes have he got a big influence on a lot of people, I think. Special dressing wise, I mean the Firm and everything else that he's done. Illmatic, Stillmatic. He's got a lot of classic shit, man. To me, he's got a lot of classic albums. I mean, I know he ain't the best when it comes to picking beats sometimes, as people ridicule him for, but
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is sometimes.
Word. So YouTube, catch you next episode when we out of here.